This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total has really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. We're here for you on a Wednesday. We're almost at the end of September, crazy enough. And Alex, we got our good friend Bruce Marshall joining us in about a half hour. We have our NFL power rankings, but we got to begin in Major League Baseball as we're down the home stretch with 5 days to go in the regular season.
And pretty crazy outcomes yesterday. So it continues to switch. The Mets back in it, Reds back out, and then the Tigers collapsed there. I really thought Scooble and Detroit had that one and let it go late in that game. So, yeah, let's break it down. Let's go through it. Still a lot of teams still alive, and I cannot wait for some playoff baseball.
Well, we'll start in the National League. Sorry, Braves and Nationals fans. That game's already started. By the way, Atlanta started their run about 10 days too late. About 10 days too late, because if they started this 10 days earlier, they very easily could have ended up in this thing with how everyone has fallen back to the pack in the National League. But we begin in San Diego, where the Padres, who last night, Machado was out of the lineup. Tatis hasn't played these first 2 games of the series because of illness. They've beaten the Brewers back-to-back days. They beat them up last night. And because of another failing by Tanner Scott, who I could have told you that was not going to work in L.A. before the year, despite his numbers in Miami, minus 125 on San Diego here today, who's only a game and a half behind the said Dodgers. Now, remember, they have to be 1 game ahead of L.A. L.A. goes to Seattle this weekend. The Padres welcome the Diamondbacks, who all of a sudden are very much alive for the final playoff spot in the NL. Milwaukee got a nice little break last night. The Phillies blew a 3-0 lead to Miami. So instead of only being 1.5 up on the Phils, they're 2.5 up with the tiebreaker on Philadelphia for the top seed. Forget just in the NL, but all of baseball in the postseason. Cease is minus 125. Going to be Patrick on the bump for Milwaukee, a plus 110, and a total of 8 at Petco this afternoon.
This is a really tough game to handicap here. It was an immediate stay away. I really like Dylan Cease. I just don't think this is his year. All of his stuff really hasn't been working. He has been better at home, though, so that gives me some hope. And, I mean, Padres come into this one winning 4 in a row compared to the Brewers, who have lost 3 in a row. So I don't know. It's a complete stay off for me. Chad Patrick, Dylan Cease, I think they're pretty even. I didn't check lineups to know who is going to be in for each side. Don't really know motivation on either side, so it's a stay off for me between these two.
So San Diego also, just want to throw this at you as well. The Padres also are a game and a half behind the Cubs, who've lost 5 in a row since clinching a playoff spot. And San Diego does own the tiebreaker at the current moment. So we could end up seeing a flip of who has the home field as well in the wild card round, if that were to end up being the case. So there's my theory now working is that none of these teams are really that good. So that's why we've seen this just total anarchy over the last 2.5 months, and extreme anarchy in the American League side, which we'll get to in a little bit. But again, San Diego has a chance to win. Their same distance behind both teams. 1.5 behind LA, 1.5 behind the Cubs. But again, tiebreaker goes to the Dodgers. So the Dodgers do have that hammer for the National League West. All right. Now for the pitching matchup of the day and maybe even the season at this point. Hunter Green, who has just been absolutely unhittable the last 2 times out, has given up just 2 hits in his last 2 starts. Complete game shutout against the Cubs his last time out. Goes against the likely NL Cy Young winner, Paul Skeens. We didn't see a 6. I was really thinking we could see a 6 on the total here, Alex. It's 7 for the full game, heavily juiced to the under, but we do see a 3 for basically the first time this year in the first 5. Cincinnati's favored, and I'm just going to go back to what I said yesterday. And you got to be cautious of this week, even though if you bet the Mets last night, you got away with it against the Cubs, in part because Cade Horton only ended up going 3 innings because he left with back soreness. These teams that are in the NL race for the 6th seed are only there because they're not that good. Be very careful with the way these are priced. Got there pretty easily, all things considered, with the Pirates yesterday. It's 4-2 after 2 and ended up 4-2, which was a pretty awful beat if you had the over, but that's a different discussion for a different time. Skeens it even with how good Green has been. I don't mind that look here today for the Pirates. How are we getting more than 7 runs in this game unless one of these guys goes shorter than 6 innings, which maybe if Pittsburgh's careful with Skeens in his likely last start of the year, I could see it, but I think under is good, and I do like the dog in this one in Pittsburgh.
I'm with you on the under, definitely. I would have really liked to go first 5 under if there was a 3.5. That 3 does actually make me nervous here with these 2. I typically look to fade Hunter Green after such a great start against the Cubs, but I mean, we've talked about it all year. I'm not too worried about the Pirates lineup, and I think he's going to go toe-to-toe with Skeens here in this one. My only concern with going full game under is that they are careful with Skeens. He pretty much has that Cy Young wrapped up, and we've been following late in the season. He is pitching longer on the road. At home than on the road. So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. But I think 7 is good here. Take a half a run off for each of these pitchers and how good they are. Number should be 6.5. Really, you're getting a half a point or half a run there. So lean to the under 7 full game. If you made me play it, that's what I'd play it. Probably not going to touch this game though.
Yeah, again, Reds lose last night. Mets have their largest comeback of the season against the Cubs, coming from 6-1 down to win 9-7. So it flipped again. It very easily could flip 4 times this week in this NL wildcard race. Again, the Reds and the Diamondbacks both have the tiebreaker over the Mets. The Diamondbacks have the tiebreaker over the Reds. So if we end up in a 3-way tie, I'm pretty sure it goes to Arizona. If we end up in a heads-up tie with Arizona involved, Arizona wins. Basically, if the Mets end up in a tie, they're done. So that's basically the easiest way to look at it. Well, there's another team that is technically alive all of a sudden, who's red hot. I mean, they would need the boatload of help still. But the Miami Marlins do have 3 with the Mets to end the season. And they send Ryan Weathers to the mound against former Marlin Jesus Luzardo. Fish came from 3-0 down to win an 11 yesterday against the Phillies. So not dead yet for Miami at 77 and 80. Phillies, of course, have the NL East, have had that wrapped up for over a week. They still could catch Milwaukee, but the runway is getting very, very short now for Philadelphia, where at this rate, if Milwaukee would have to lose today and the Phillies would have to win the next 2 for it to really go to the weekend with a realistic chance to potentially catch Milwaukee. But here you go. This is a big price again, minus 185 on Philadelphia. Marlins are bust, right?
Yeah. No, it is. I hate jumping in too late, but now they've won 7 in a row. They're playing good. No Bryce Harper for the Phillies yesterday, out because of illness. I thinking he might not go again. So it would only be the Marlins for me, plus 165. I think that's a good number. Ryan Weathers has been great ever since coming up. I think he can pitch well. And really, the Marlins have been hitting lefties. That's been the whole story and how they're getting these wins. Third time seeing Luzardo. So I think they'll be able to score some runs here. So I think there's some value there, getting that plus 165.
Up next, we go to Chicago. Mets and Cubs. Wind was blowing in yesterday, and they combined for 16 runs at Wrigley. The wind is blowing in again today, and we have a 7. Matthew Boyd, who is, I would say, been the best pitcher for the Cubs year-round, will go for Chicago in his last regular season start and probably line him up to pitch game 1 or game 2 of the wild card series against rookie Jonah Tong for the Mets, who is coming off his best start in the majors against the Padres a week ago. I am, after watching last night, Alex, I'm a little bit perplexed on the total here. Tong has given up homers in his first few starts, and they're betting the Mets, which, again, be very, very careful with this. This open minus 122 on the Cubs is now minus 109, or I should say minus 115 on the Cubs after opening minus 120. With a total of 7 here, Alex.
I'm going to go right back to it, to the over here between these two. I was on it yesterday. Didn't make my board, but yeah, I trust both of these lineups here. And looking at the current form of these pitchers, as good as Matthew Boyd has been in his last 5, I mean, his median number is 5 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, and 4 earned runs on the other side for Tong in his last 5 starts is the median number. So I think we're going to see runs again. I think we're getting a pretty good number here because of the wind, but I think we'll be okay.
Up next, let's go to Arizona. Diamondbacks came back against the Dodger bullpen. Dodger bullpen just cannot hold an Ohtani lead at this point. Shohei was just outrageously good again on the mound, and Dodger bullpen was given a 4-0 lead heading into the bottom of the 7th, and they blow it. 5-4 win for Arizona to stay 1 game behind New York entering today's action. It's Snell and Fott. Minus 145 on LA, plus 130 on the Diamondbacks. Dodgers can't clinch the division today. If they do win the next 2 days, coupled with a Padre loss against the Brewers, they would be able to wrap it up on Thursday. But again, this Dodger bullpen is an abomination at this point, and it is really, that's the reason that this is still a race in the National League West right now, more than anything, Alex.
Just want to make sure, Ryan Nelson today, right, against
Yes.
Blake Snell on the other side. Like both of these pitchers a lot here, but I still do think that's a pretty cheap price here on the Dodgers and Blake Snell. I know what you're saying, and I am concerned with their bullpen as well, but I think that's the right side. I think the Dodgers get it done tonight, find a way to get this win. And, you know, the Diamondbacks don't have too many arms in their bullpen either. So it would be Dodgers for me.
Next up, we go to San Francisco. Both teams could be eliminated by the end of today with the Cardinals and the Giants. It's going to be Sonny Gray on the mound for his final start of the year for St. Louis against JT Brubaker gets the start for San Francisco. This one's flipped around a little bit. Opened San Francisco favored. Now St. Louis is a favorite again. More likely than not, both teams, well, I'm not going to say more likely than not, but it is very possible both teams are eliminated from postseason contention after today.
Man, I thought it was going to be Sonny Gray versus Robbie Ray, but looks
Late
like
change,
it's not Robbie Ray going, so that keeps me off of the under. I thought 7.5 was a good number to go under with these two, but I'm going to pass on this one. It's been back and forth between these two. The Giants with Logan Webb yesterday was probably my best bet that I stayed off of, so I'm just going to stay off of this series.
These two teams, again, Cardinals end in Chicago. Rockies go to San Francisco and end the year, but both of these teams, more likely than not, they're off the board to win the NL pennant here at the South Point. They don't have an E next to them yet, but more likely than not, both of these teams will be eliminated by the end of today. All right, let's go to Baltimore next. We can be quick here. Orioles and Rays. Neither team has anything to play for. Baz against Wells. Baltimore, and the action has showed that. Baltimore open -115. It's still there. Total did go down a half run from 8.5 to 8.
Baltimore is still playing good. I know that the Rays did get them yesterday, but that is the way I would kind of look here. Tyler Wells has been really good. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs, and he's gone at least 5 innings. So, I mean, I think I do like both pitchers, but I do think that there's an advantage here with Tyler Wells and the way that he is playing. -115 feels pretty cheap there. Maybe even looking first 5 then and not worrying about either bullpen here, but it would be the Orioles in some way or fashion if I were to bet this one.
Not much to be said. Both of these teams are done, so I don't have anything on this one. All right, now for something very much different. That inning against Skubal last night that gave Cleveland the lead for good last night was honestly just the prototypical nonsense that the Guardians have been doing during this run. Also, we hope the best for David Fry, who took a fastball right to the front of the face while attempting a bunt yesterday against Skubal. But here you go today. It's Bybee against Flaherty. And Alex, I said yesterday, if the Tigers lose, this thing is Cleveland's. And the betting odds, the Guardians, who are in first place via the tiebreak entering today, are -185 favorites to win the AL Central. Now the Tigers are +172, which is obviously the lowest price they've been since the preseason. Cleveland was down as many as 15.5 games in this division. They were down 9.5 games just 2 weeks ago. And this is an all-time collapse from the Detroit Tigers. And even if they end up in the final wild card, because the Astros have also melted down over the last month, it's still an all-timer. And for Cleveland, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get how they've been able to do this. I know their pitching has been, and Gavin Williams was spectacular last night, but they can't hit. Other than Ramirez and Quan, they can't hit.
Yep.
And that 3-run rally in the sixth against Skubal, they can get a ball to the infield.
Right.
It's just the prototypical, just more so than anything, just gnats, more so that you just can't get rid of. But here you go. The Guards have a chance to really put the hammer down here today with a win, and they're favored to do it at -145.
I don't suggest following me on this one, but I'm going to take a piece of that Tigers plus money there to win this game. I like Jack Flaherty. I think he can pitch well here in this one. And you mentioned it. Those 3 runs were purely luck.
Oh, it's nonsense.
So I think that the Tigers should have had that one yesterday. It does concern me because they're really not hitting. So probably another low-scoring game here between these two. And we didn't stay under. Yesterday pushed if you got a 7, but yeah, I would look to the under, and I'm going to take a little bit of the Tigers to get one back here.
So you see the division plus the wild card here, and we'll get to the AL East in a second because those are the next games up. But Houston, who we'll also get to later, lost in Sacramento last night. So Houston is completely out at the current moment. Oh, and by the way, Cleveland and the Guardians and Cleveland are the same team. Cleveland and Detroit both have the tiebreaker over the Houston Astros, period, at this point. And the Red Sox also have the tiebreaker over Houston.
Wow.
So the Astros are in horrific shape, even with a easy-looking last 5 games, because they got to get one game in front of at least one of these teams. Cleveland is red hot. By the way, Detroit plays Boston the final weekend of the season, too. So that's a little interesting intricacy of this as well. But there you go. If the playoffs started today, and I'm sure the Tigers would hate this, they would go to Cleveland for a wild card series in a 3-6. And obviously the Tigers pulled an upset last year as a 3, but boy, or as a 6, I should say, against the 3-seeded Astros. But boy, I wouldn't want to see Cleveland right now if I'm Detroit. Detroit, by the way, also 1-9 in their last 10. It's just a total disaster down the stretch here to allow this, what would be an all-time collapse and the biggest collapse in Major League Baseball history within a single division to happen. And it's favored to happen right now by the books. All right, let's go to New York next. The Yankees, who seemingly are completely out of the division race, even just 10 days ago,
Yep.
have climbed within one game of Toronto. Now, remember, the Blue Jays have the advantage because they have the season series win, so they have the tiebreak if they end up with the same record. But the Yankees have 2 games left with the White Sox and one more series left with the Orioles. Toronto has to play 2 more with the Red Sox starting yesterday, and then they get Tampa, so not that bad. Jays are still minus 320 right now to win the division. That's a FanDuel price. Yankees better price at DraftKings at plus 250. Tonight, Yankees have Fried. They're a gigantic favorite at minus 360. This will be Fried's final regular season start because he's going to pitch game 1 either of the Wildcard series where the Yankees are right now, or if they win the division, they're getting a bye. Might even get the number 1 seed in the American League. Could not see him again until the following Saturday. I mean, this price is gigantic, Alex. How do we even entertain anything here?
No, I really don't think there is anything. I do think that total is a little bit low, but you've got Max Fried on one side. So the only way I would look is Yankees team total over. And I'm not sure if we have that number right here. But I think that's probably the best way to go about this. 5.5. Pretty big number, but that's the only way I would play it. Coming off a low-scoring game yesterday, too. But Smith is much better than Tyler Anderson, so I think the Yankees could get a few more. 5.5. I'm sure there's got to be. You could probably get juiced 4.5 if we're getting plus price going over 5.5.
It is. I'll just say this with the Yankees, and there's never been a question of talent to me with them. It's always just been their defense was shoddy, their base running was shoddy. They just couldn't get consistent starting pitching for a little bit there. They're as talented as anyone in the American League, and quite frankly, all of baseball at this point. Not saying they're going to win the World Series or even get there, but if the Jays blow this division outright and the Yankees win the AL East, that is a big deal here in the American League, especially if you have to have this go through Yankee Stadium as opposed to going through Toronto, which is what it would be right now for the end. Again, the Red Sox have had the Yankees number too. So if the Yankees somehow end up winning the AL East, I think the whole course of the American League playoffs changes drastically if the Yankees win the AL East, especially if they end up with the 1 seed, which right now, if they have the second best record in the American League at the moment.
Well, we know baseball is such a long season, and it really just comes down to who is peaking at the right time. Some teams may have peaked too early, and some are playing their best baseball going into the playoffs. And it does feel like that for the Yankees here, where a team like the Tigers may have peaked a little bit too early. But we'll see. Still some games to go, and you never know once playoffs start.
Up next, Toronto, and the Blue Jays have to face Garrett Crochet tonight. Again, the Red Sox are still not locked in either. Boston still needs to stay. They're currently 2 games ahead of Houston with the tiebreak with 5 to go, so they're in really good shape. But again, crazy stuff can happen, and they have to play Detroit over the weekend if the Tigers get their act together. That's not a particularly easy series, even though I wouldn't bank on that with Detroit at the current moment. But Crochet and Scherzer tonight for Toronto. Minus 125 for Crochet, plus 110 for Max. Max is coming off a horrific start his last time out. And the total 7.5 north of the border in this one, Alex.
It would only be the Red Sox for me in this one. I think that's a pretty good price here on Garrett Crochet, who has definitely been the more consistent of the two, even though Max Scherzer was very good for most of the season. Just current form here. I think I'm going to even avoid the bullpens there and take Boston minus 130 for the first 5. I think that is a very good price for Garrett Crochet. I think we forget about him, right, when we're talking about Skubal and Paul Skeens, but he is right up there with them.
Been great. Again, Red Sox in good shape, still not there yet for a playoff spot. 2 up with 5 to go over the Houston Astros for that final wild card spot. And again, the Jays lead down to 1 in the AL East, but it's really 2 because they have the tiebreaker on the Yankees. But still, Seattle's playing well. Mariners could end up even hopping, but unlikely at this point. All right, real quick here. DeGrom and Bradley in Arlington. Again, the Rangers completed what was just a total meltdown over the last few weeks. They were officially eliminated yesterday. Minus 190 on DeGrom here in his final start of the year.
And now really, I mean, just announced Corey Seager. We kind of already knew it, but
he was
it's
coming back
out for the year. And I just don't trust the Rangers at all, even with Jacob deGrom on the mound. They've lost 8 in a row coming into this. I don't see how we're making them a $1.90 favorite here at home. So I think there's value there with the Twins, plus 170.
Up next, let's go to Anaheim. Another one where both teams are done. Royals officially eliminated yesterday as well. Kolek against Kikuchi. Total 8.5. Angels small favorite in this one, Alex.
Wow, the Royals even won. And that's what I was thinking about when I said the Rays got one. The Royals got one yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so now this is just another tough one here where you don't really know what you're getting from either side. I lean a little bit to the Royals at even money, but I'm going to pass here.
Let's go to Sacramento next. And we already did the little diatribe on the Astros. And look, it has been a pretty nice-sized melt for the Astros here. I mean, they were up as many as 7 in the division in the AL West. And here they are now with 5 days to go. They need to make up 2 games on all the team, on either Cleveland or Detroit, in order to make the postseason, or 3 on Boston, which that would be tough as well, but they could technically do that. But look, you're in a scenario here for the Astros where this is a pretty big-time collapse. They have their best pitcher, Hunter Brown, on the bump tonight against Sevy for the A's. Minus 130 on the Houston, plus 115 on the Athletics. I'm at a little bit of a loss here on the Astros, where they were all tied up.
Yep.
Going to last weekend against the Mariners after handling the Texas Rangers with ease in the middle of the last week. And then it just flipped.
Yep.
4 really bad games in a row for the Astros, and it might cost them a postseason spot.
It's never really been their pitching, right? It's always been that lineup, and they just have not been able to string things together. So if anything, I'd look to the under here. And I know I liked the over yesterday, and it wasn't even close, but I kind of disregarded how bad these two have both been offensively in the last 7 days. And I like both pitchers going today. I know Sevy had some problems in Sacramento to start the year, but he's been a lot better as of late. So I think that number is too high. I'd go under the 9, and I also do like the Astros side. I think Hunter Brown is the clear better pitcher in this one. But, I mean, geez, 1 run yesterday against Springs and company, and that makes me a little bit nervous to even take the Astros on that side.
I think the Astros are losing tonight. It feels like it's a snowball, but I don't like the price. I don't think it's good enough on Sevy, so we'll steer clear of this. All right, the Seattle Mariners. Drama last night. Josh Naylor's 3-run bases clearing double to win it 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Gets the Mariners a postseason spot. They'll have a chance tonight as a $3 favorite with Luis Castillo on the bump to clinch the AL West. It would be the first time they won the AL West since 2001. Alex, it looks like I'm not going to have to issue an apology when I declared it over on Monday. And you and others called me out immediately, but said it'd be done by Thursday. I've shortchanged it potentially with a win tonight. They clinch the AL West, and more importantly, their magic number is only 2 to get the number 2 seed to clinch a bye in the American League. So quite the turnaround here for the Mariners, who not very long ago were 3 games out of the AL West lead, and now very well may end up with a bye. Which, with that high end pitching, that is a good place to be if you're Seattle. Castillo's a $3 favorite. It is Gordon, who has been one of the better guys for Colorado this year, if not the best starter. But Alex, this is probably a steer clear here tonight at T-Mobile.
Yeah, it's just that price is too high. We've kind of got priced out of this one. But, we love to back Castillo at home, and here he is, and the Mariners coming in a 5-game winning streak. They're playing good ball. So not enough, even at plus 250 to jump in on the Rockies side here. So it's a definite pass.
There you go. That's the baseball card here for today. A lot can happen over the next week plus. Again, the Dodgers still amazingly enough your betting favorites to win the World Series here at the South Point at plus 350. And then the Seattle Mariners are down. Look at that. Seattle's plus 475 now. That is, I have to imagine that's the shortest Seattle's been since 2001 in any sort of future book. But hey, look, they're playing great. They have good pitching. I'm sure Chris has a bunch of liability on them. So it all checks out with here we go. 5 days to remain in the Major League Baseball season.
I can't help but think of my dad. Remember when he told us that
Last year.
he could have bought a small casino with how much he had on the Mariners, and now playing their best ball this year.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, our good friend, Bruce Marshall, CBS Sports Line, Alex White's biggest competition in the RJ contest, will join us next. We got a lot of college football, including, this is just such a dynamite weekend in college football, and we'll break it down with Bruce when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team that the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
We're back in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, and now our good friend, CBS Sports Line, our good friend Bruce Marshall joining us today. Bruce, we have what might be the best weekend of the college football season before we get the conference championship week coming up here on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought to this point, that first weekend was really good. The first regular weekend, that August 30th weekend. But this is better. I mean, there's some showdowns. And now, we're getting beyond those, all the FCS teams and those mismatches we saw for much of September. So now we're getting into conference play, and it's going to ramp up really quick. And you wonder, who's the next coach to go? I mean, now we got Mike Gundy out, and we've had Deshaun Foster out, we've had Brent Pry out. It's happening every week. So I'm not sure who's going to be next, but there's some guys out there who better watch it.
So, Bruce, I want to start on Friday night.
Yeah.
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah.
UVA welcomes Florida State. This does not look like a big game when the schedule came out, but Florida State undefeated, big upset over Bama week 1. They've looked the part of an elite team through the first month. Tricky spot with Miami on deck next week. Cavs are 7-point home dogs and a total of 50, or make it 60, I should say, here at the South Point.
Well, all these points Florida State is scoring, I don't want to sound snarky here, but I want to see Florida State do it again against a decent team. That happened. I know the Alabama game happened, but we've seen Bama go flat like that on the road a few times with some inexplicably bad efforts away. And I am, if Gus Malzahn and Norvell want to pull the wings off of houseflies like they did the last 2 games, fine. You're not going to be able to do that in the ACC. Let's see if this is going to work out on the road. This is their first road game. Listen, Tony Elliott's under a little pressure there. Chandler Morris, really a great transfer. His dad, of course, used to be a coach, Chad Morris. He was at Arkansas a few years ago. But putting up big numbers. I talked to him at ACC Media Day, and I asked him, what got you to Virginia? He said, I wanted to be at a Power 4 this year, and that was the one that opened. That was basically what he said. I had to be at a Power 4. It's like his dad said, if you want to play in the NFL, back to the Power 4. He was at North Texas last year, and he put up good numbers. Yeah. But he's making a difference. They finally have some quarterback play better than Calandria was last year for them. I'm going to take Virginia here. I'm going to give Tony Elliott a shot. Let's make Florida State do it one more time before I get on that bandwagon. I'm not there yet.
Just taking the 7, or are you going to sprinkle a little bit on that money line?
I'm just going to go with the 7 here because I could see Florida State getting lucky right at the end. But I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a tight game. Virginia looks like they got something going here.
They do. I've been very impressed with them through the first few weeks. Let's talk about another team I've been impressed with, Vandy 4-0. We talked about them last week too. Utah State, after a tough opponent in A&M, have won 2 in a row coming into this. Vandy 22.5-point favorite at home, and the total is 60.
Alex, we live in a world where there's a chance we could see a Vanderbilt-Indiana title game. That sounds crazy, but I don't think it's impossible. I think Vandy might be that good, and this year
I think you may have gone a step too far.
Well, that's
playoff
possible.
game. I'm all ears. Title game.
Well, a playoff game even. We'll give
a playoff game. I think is possible.
But I looked at the schedule at the start, and I thought this is the one that Vandy might go flat. And I'm a big Pavia fan. Pavia for Heisman, everything. Bringing Jerry Kill on board the staff, a great move by Clark Lee. They are legitimately good. And last week, that was a revenge spot against Georgia State. Georgia State beat him last year. So they put 70 on Georgia State, which has really gone downhill since that game last year. But in the past, laying points has been a real problem for Vanderbilt. Not as much yet this year, but it has been in the past. And last year, for example, the Georgia State game, they played a game against Ball State at home. They didn't come close to covering that game. This is the flat spot, I thought, because look who's on deck for Vandy. Alabama.
Sure.
And they've got the SEC really starts ramping up starting next week. I don't think Utah State's that bad. This is one of those teams they alerted about early in the season. Bronco Mendenhall is a big upgrade there. They had all the distractions last year when they had to move out Blake Anderson and all that. Sort of a mess, but the offense wasn't bad last year. And Bryson Barnes, the ex-Utah quarterback, is putting up some really good numbers. Destroyed McNeese last week, put up 49 on Air Force the week before that. Live dog. If nothing else, the back door is going to be open here. But I think it's going to be kind of competitive. So I am all on the U-tags here. And I might even look over. I mean, I could see this game being 45-33, something like that. And that would blow past the total. So Utah State first, and then also a secondary pick on the over.
Let's go to the shirt you're wearing. LSU on the road in Oxford. Ole Miss is going to start Trinidad Chambliss again, which is the correct move. He's been spectacular since coming in for Simmons, who left with an injury earlier. I mean, Ole Miss just eviscerated a good Tulane team last week.
Yes.
That was never competitive. Now LSU comes a-calling. Of course, drama game last year. LSU found a way to win. That was one of the 3 losses that Ole Miss had that ended up knocking them out of the playoff. One with Ole Miss here at the South Point. There's a lot of 1.5 in the market. And 54.5 is the total here in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the shirt this week, because I did not have a great week last week. I do a little reverse psychology, so I'll wear the shirt of the team I'm going against this week. So I'm going against LSU, hence the shirt. Plus, I don't have an Ole Miss shirt, so I sort of had to wear this if I wanted to represent this game. But everything you say is true there, Jeff, and I'm not surprised that Lane went with Chambliss. This is quite a story. I mean, transferring out of Ferris State, where he put up great numbers, and they were a championship side at a lower level last year, but he put his name in the portal, and he wasn't getting much of a bite from anybody. Western Kentucky and a couple of Sunbelt sides, Lane swooped in there late, and my goodness, this guy is poised. He already knows the offense. He throws a very catchable ball, and my guys at Ole Miss tell me he's very coachable too. He has low maintenance. That is not the case with Simmons, apparently. So Lane, they're finding it a lot easier to deal with this kid. And I mentioned that catchable ball thing. You look at it's when Simmons is in there, he's throwing fastballs every time. And when I was at Lexington a couple weeks ago, he threw a couple of those howitzers downfield where nobody was by the ball except Kentucky defenders. So I understand this move. I am not yet convinced LSU is this good. Now, the Clemson win, okay, win, not looking as impressive now. Florida win, not looking as impressive. I mean, their best win might be the La Tech game, really, when you look at it. And Nussmeier, yeah, they got it going against Southeast Louisiana last week. This was the game last year that really hurt Ole Miss because LSU tied that thing right at the end. They were losing that thing the whole way, and then they won in overtime. So that was probably Nussmeier's highlight. But you know what? I think Chambliss is the real deal, and I'm not convinced LSU is the number 3 or 4 team in the country. So it's going to be Ole Miss for me at Vaught Hemingway on Saturday.
Let's get to another one. You were at the USC game last week against Michigan State. Did not cover, but the Trojans are 4-0 now going into this one. Now they have to travel and go to Illinois, where Kirk Cignetti really put it on Illinois last week. So 6.5 is the line. Is this an overreaction? Are you liking the points here with Illinois?
I love the points with Illinois here. And let me say this about SC. That offense is very, very good. By the way, Wayman Jordan is sort of like the running back version of Chambliss for Ole Miss because he was JC transfer and he was out there. Nobody was looking at him in the transfer market. And I talked to Lane Kiffin. I'm sorry, not Lane Kiffin. I talked to Lincoln Riley in the summer at the media days here, and he said, this kid looks great. And kind of Ashton Jenny-like. That's a great pickup, and Maeva's putting up some really good numbers. But I was a little disappointed in SC's defense last week. Michigan State moved the ball okay, and I know they've got some ball hawks there in the Trojan secondary. They've had some defensive touchdowns this year, but they did get pushed around a little bit. And I got to go back to last year. These are the sorts of games that SC had trouble with against these line of scrimmage teams from the Big Ten out on the road. They didn't cover a Big Ten road game outside of Los Angeles County last year. They didn't. That means UCLA. They didn't win one either. I mean, all those games, the Michigan game, the Maryland game, the Minnesota game, same thing. They just got pushed around a little bit. You're catching Illinois. This is a humiliation bounce back. We use that in other sports. It works in football sometimes too. There was a complete boat race last week that Indiana put on them. But I think if Illinois got something here, and I think they do, I mean, they were looking really good until last week. Altmaier will come back, and I think up front, SC is going to get a much tougher challenge than it's had thus far. And by the way, SC hasn't covered its last year. They didn't cover the Purdue game either, and they did win that, but they didn't cover. Illinois for me, maybe even on the money line here, but certainly plus 6.5. Yep.
Let's go to another team that wears purple up in Seattle.
Yeah.
Huskies welcome Ohio State. Washington hasn't really played anyone any good, but this just feels like such a bizarro spot for the Buckeyes in their first conference game. They have to go long flight on the road to what is one of the hardest places to play in the country, also one of the most beautiful places to play in the country. 8. Now they've taken the number down to 8 on this one. Ohio State favored 51.5.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stadiums. Those cantilever roof, it looks like a big alligator ready to swallow you there. I mean, it really is something. Washington, and you're right, Jeff. Last year, remember Ohio State came out to Eugene right about this time, maybe a week later in the schedule, and lost that game to Oregon last year. So we'll see how this one goes for the Buckeyes. I still think they need to be tested a little bit more. They were struggling some with Ohio in the last game, and the offense certainly didn't do much against Texas. Sayan has thrown 3 picks the last 2 games, so I'm not sure he's quite where Will Howard was last year. But I like the Huskies here, and I'm sold. And I was a little bit skeptical coming into the season, but I've watched. First of all, this is Jed Fish, and by the way, UCLA could have hired Jed Fish if they acted a bit quicker 2 years ago with the Chip Kelly stuff allowed to fester. Then Washington slipped in. Fish would have gone to UCLA if they would have hired him. So that's another knock on Martin Jarman, UCLA's AD. But DeMond Williams, not DeMond Wilson. That's Sanford and Son. That's Lamont. This is DeMond Williams, not Wilson. He is a dynamic dual threat at quarterback. And Jonah Coleman is a real slasher and runner. The guy's got almost 3,000 rush yards already at Washington. I think Jed Fish is the bomb. And this is going to be a tough game for Ohio State. Washington's got a shot here, and certainly plus the 8, I would do it with the Huskies.
We talked about how good this week is, and as we just go down the list, and we haven't even gotten to this game, you brought up the fact that we've seen this with Kalen DeBoer's team since he's been at Alabama, them struggle on the road, They lost outright to Florida State the first week, and now they get another opportunity here against Georgia. We learned a lot from Georgia and Gunnar Stockton, I think, in particular, with that win over Tennessee. Lane 3, we know that they are fantastic at home, the Bulldogs, that is. What are you thinking in this one?
Good point there, Alex. And that's this Alabama thing on the road. And it's more than once it's happened to them. I mean, there's a few times last year they just went so flat. The Vanderbilt game last year, the Oklahoma game, Michigan in the bowl game, and then the opener against Florida State. It's like a repeat. And these 2 wins Alabama has had, okay, yeah, you ran up the score on ULM and you were mad. And the Wisconsin win, Wisconsin ain't that good. Sorry, Badger fans, you're just not. So they still have to prove something to me. I'll tell you what, I have to stand corrected. A few weeks ago, maybe on this show here, when I was talking about Gunnar Stockton, I said, yeah, he's not really the mold of past Georgia quarterbacks. You've had a lot of pro-style guys there. You've had Carson Beck. You've had Stafford before that, back to the Rick days, Jacob Eason, guys like that. But I'll tell you what, after watching the Tennessee game, I mean, Stockton has a lot of Stetson Bennett in him, I think. And you saw the way he came back, and that was the first time you really saw this offense come together. It looked like they could score whenever they wanted to against Tennessee. It was kind of a ping-pong match, but still, that was a big advance there for Georgia. I think Georgia wins this game. I'm not backing Alabama on the road in a game like this until they win one. So prove it to me, Bama. You can win one of these on the road. I'm going with Georgia.
I know you don't have a play on this next game, but I would be remiss if we didn't ask about the big one in Happy Valley that's going up head-to-head with this Georgia game. Penn State and Oregon. Penn State has really had to do nothing through the first 3 games. Obviously, look at who they played: Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. Oregon, all right, not like they've played the most intimidating schedule, but Northwestern and Oregon State and Oklahoma State, at least, well, Oklahoma State maybe not, but see, as I talk it through, neither team has really played anyone so far through the first month. It's just so interesting to me. We saw this number in the games of the year get bet up to 6.5 at one point this summer. And now we are at the weekend of the game, and it's 3.5. And I can't find anyone who likes Penn State this week, Bruce. Feels like everybody that has an opinion on this game likes the Ducks getting 3 and a hook on the road.
Oregon's toughest game might have been Montana State in the opener.
Oh, that's really, very possible.
Very possible. And Penn State, too. By the way, just a point spread note for future reference. Be careful with these big spreads. Penn State is 0-3 versus the number.
Yep.
But their win margin is about 40 per game. And this is what can happen when you're laying 42 to 49 points. You end up getting backdoored like they did against Villanova and the Nevada game. And you win by 34 against Florida International and you don't cover. Anyway, that all aside, this is totally different. When is James Franklin going to win a big game? And Jeff, that's probably what all these guys who are not betting on Penn State are worried about. Alex, you've talked about that before too. How many games does Franklin have to take against in a big major game like this to win one? He lost against these guys in the Big Ten title game last year. He always loses to Ohio State, lost to Notre Dame in the playoff last year. So it would be a little bit of a departure for him to actually win one. But I think he will this week. I actually think if it's ever going to happen for Penn State, you've got Oregon at home. I'm not totally sold on Dante Moore yet. I still remember him from UCLA 2 years ago. And they didn't put me on fire against Oregon State last week or the Northwestern game, really, though that was kind of a backdoor for Northwestern. This isn't my favorite card, Jeff, but a favorite game on the card. But I'll if I had to do something here, I think I'd take Penn State.
I think I'm with you. And I don't know if I'm going to use it yet, but it feels like everything is in line for Penn State to get this one right.
If they're ever going to do it.
They have a bye week to prep for this game. Jim Knowles comes over from Ohio State, so he saw Oregon twice last year.
Right.
But it wasn't Dante Moore, so it is a little bit different, but I think I'm with you on that.
Okay. We'll see.
Anything with that total, if it's got to be a little correlated, right? If you're leaning to Penn State, maybe like the under. You like Oregon, you're leaning to the over?
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I mean, Oregon's defense has also played pretty well. And Penn State's defense, with Knowles there. So I think probably so. That might even be a better call than just the Penn State side. Yep.
Bruce, let's just hit 2 more here before we let you go. Smaller games, to say the very least. You brought up the Miners last week, and now they host Louisiana Tech. 4-point underdogs at home, UTEP is against the Bulldogs here in this conference matchup.
So I'm going to break one of my rules here. I hate to risk losing back-to-back weeks in games involving a certain team. But I think when we're talking about Conference USA, I can throw out the rule book. It's got its own rules there. And UTEP ended up looking like UTEP again last week. And they burned me because I thought they would show up big against ULM. Did not. They never led in that game, and they looked like the Miners again. It looks like, Scotty Walden's got a ways to go to get this team up to speed. But this is more, I'm going with La Tech here, and I'm very impressed with what Sonny Cumbie has done there. And I was not when he first took that job. Remember, he had that interim role at Texas Tech after they ran Matt Wells out in 21. He had been a longtime offensive coordinator in various schools down there, very well respected. But his first couple of years at La Tech, not too good. About midway last year, something changed, and they've been playing well. They have an 8-game regular season point spread win streak going here. The only in there, that bowl game against Army, they took that on late notice when Marshall pulled out, and they didn't win, but I'm going to throw that out. 8 straight covers regular season, balancing the offense. They run a lot. They use 2 quarterbacks, but Blake Baker takes most of the snaps. La Tech is a real go-with side. And we mentioned that LSU game. LSU had some trouble with La Tech a couple weeks ago. I think La Tech wins this game, and that was a good win over Southern Miss last week. Southern Miss is an improved team with Charles Huff. Very handy win for La Tech. This is a team really flying under the radar, and that's a cheap price at the beautiful Sun Bowl.
I had the 3.5 with Southern Miss last week. So, La Tech is pretty impressive. On the other side with Monroe, who did beat UTEP, you're looking at something in this game, them versus Arkansas State. They're laying 1.5. Total 53.5.
Same rules apply to the Sun Belt. I mean, I can risk losing twice in a row, and I was wrong with ULM last week. I guess that figured. They had a week off after that Alabama slaughter, and they did bounce back, so good for them. But now here's one, Arkansas State. This is an important game for Butch Jones. He's lost 3 in a row. 2 of those were Arkansas and Iowa State. Last week, they fell behind 21-0 in the first quarter at Kennesaw State. All sorts of mistakes. They fought their way back. They couldn't quite get there. He needs a win. He's under some pressure. Rayner is maybe one of the top quarterbacks in the Sun Belt, third-year starter. He's got the quarterback. They've got a lot of portal heads. They thought we're going to upgrade the defense. They did play Iowa State really tough 2 weeks ago. But mostly about this game. 10 straight wins and covers in this series for Arkansas State. The last several of those with Butch Jones as head coach. He has had Monroe's number. They have to win this game. Butch Jones has to win this game, or he's going to find himself in Mike Gundy land pretty soon. So, Arkansas State for me.
And Arkansas State was mano a mano with Iowa State 2 weeks ago. And then last week it was classic letdown spot.
Classic letdown.
Just classic letdown after, quite frankly, if it wasn't for that ridiculous penalty against the Clones, they might have won that game.
They had a shot.
They had a real shot in that
They
game.
did.
And then you don't mess with the Kennesaw Owls, right? I mean, you don't mess with them.
Don't spot them at 21.
He's Bruce Marshall. You see him every Wednesday with us here, breaking down the college football card, CBS Sportsline as well. Also, you can see his picks for every week in the RJ as well. You can also see Alex White's picks as well.
We're going to have a bounce back
in the RJ, looking for a bounce back. It really, honestly, feels like everybody's looking for a little bit of a bounce back after a rough week last week. Bruce, it's a pleasure as always.
My pleasure. See you next week, guys.
Absolutely. Bruce Marshall, everybody. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to end with our NFL power rankings on a Wednesday. I moved the team up significantly this week, Alex White. We'll discuss that to finish up on a Wednesday morning on Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though this total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is smoke and fire. This is high stakes and wild cards. This is family and tradition. This is everything on the line. This is it. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas. The South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now. LVMS.com.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
We don't make stuff up here.
I would only play the Pirates team total going under.
What the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? This total is really crashed without plumbing the lineup.
I think this number's too high, but they're laying me the 6.
Oh, I know.
Caitlin Clark drives handle on the WNBA.
Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. We are giving you hands-on information.
Welcome back in. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. We're going to have our whiteboard. The City Lights Shine trivia question as well coming your way in a few moments. But first, Alex, we got to go our NFL power rankings here on a Wednesday. We can't forget those before we get out of here today. And you have a new number 1 this week.
I do have a new number 1, Jeff. Week 4 power ratings here for me, and it's a cluster with these top teams here, but my number 1 to number 2 is one of the bigger differences in the top 10, and that is the Detroit Lions, who went to Baltimore and took out my previous number 1 in the Baltimore Ravens. So I've got the Lions a full point here above the next teams. And then from 2 to 7, it is about a 1.5 between 2 to 7 with the 0.2 in between each one. So I really couldn't fault anybody for any different order they had here. Some underachieve and some are overachieving. And starting with the Buffalo Bills, I still am not completely convinced, but I mean, they are playing really good football and they're kind of like the Ravens in regards to just being so dynamic and explosive on offense, right? So whether or not we see any weaknesses in their defense come up later, that's not right now. They've got to move up. They are number 2 right now with the Ravens slightly behind them. Maybe we saw some weaknesses in the Packers and their offense. So they fell down a little bit here at number 4. The Eagles are number 5, which might be a little bit low for this team. Just didn't bump them up. If not, it bumped them down looking at the turnovers and how they really shouldn't have won that game against the Rams. Next up, 6 and 7 tied right here. Chargers and Rams. Impressive, both LA teams. I really am. So those two could even move up. Now here's a little bit of a drop off with the Kansas City Chiefs. It'll be very interesting to see what we have this week. I hate to say it, Jeff, but I actually made the Chiefs a point favorite at home going into this week. That's how close my top 10 are power rated here. So I'll probably be on the Chiefs getting a 3 as well. Washington Commanders at number 9, a very impressive win, even with Marcus Mariota. And then number 10, it's the Denver Broncos for me with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right there with them. Actually, I have them power rated the exact same number. I just put Denver in. Tampa, some cluster injuries, but we'll see if they can get a Chris Godwin back this week.
You know, on my end, sorry, Minnie Dar, I did remove the Broncos. I just don't trust Bo Nix. That's solely the only reason. And that elite defense has not been so elite through 3 games. They were awesome against Cam Ward, but everyone's looked good against Cam Ward so far. The other 2 games, blew the lead in the fourth quarter, both times against the Colts and the Chargers.
Yeah.
All right. I keep Philadelphia at 1. I know there are cracks. Well, you can see it. They should have lost they definitely shouldn't have covered, and they should have lost on Sunday to the Rams. But you know what? There's just something about that team that they just always find a way. And I understand it's like from a traditional gambling perspective, that's not how power rankings work. But you know what? They find ways to win. Maybe they will hurt them down the road. Maybe this will turn into a year like we saw 2 years ago, where they had the best record in the NFL going to December and then had one of the more epic meltdowns we've ever seen in the NFL. So maybe that's the way. Buffalo's 2. The Bills, as we talked about yesterday, their schedule is such a joke that the Bills could very easily be 15-0 going into that game against Philadelphia in Week 17. It is very possible at this point. Probably won't be. It's a National Football League. I saw one book today is dishing the Bills to go undefeated at 12-1. Do not bet that. That is a horrible number. Just throwing that out there. Number 3, I moved the Los Angeles Chargers all the way to number 3 because I think what we've seen through 3 weeks is real. That Justin Herbert is playing at a different level. His weapons are significantly improved from what it was a year ago. That's even with the lack of a run game so far.
Right.
The Slater injury happened early enough in training camp that Harbaugh and the offensive staff were able to adjust it. That Joe, all right, Joe, you're going to left tackle, and we can figure it out at right tackle. They've done amazingly well, and that defense is still good, even though I still have some worries about possible regression as we go through the year. Detroit's number 4. They very easily could have been number 2 this week. Week 1 was just a bad performance against a really good defense on the road. First game with new coordinators. It happens. They're really good again. The Packers are 5. I think last week they just fell asleep. They just fell asleep at the wheel. It happens. You can't fall asleep in this league. You'll get beat. That's what Chris always says. Those teams are thrilled to win by 3 points. Green Bay would have been thrilled to win that game by 3 points. So Green Bay's at 5. Baltimore's at 6. We can't put a finger on it. There's something wrong with this team. Lamar Jackson has 9 touchdowns to no interceptions. They scored 30 or more points in all 3 games, and they're 1-2. And Derrick Henry's fumbled 3 times. Their defense is not as good as it should be, but there's something else going on there that just can't really be equated. So I moved them down to 6. Rams at 7. Didn't move them down a spot after last week. All right. Could have even justified moving them up, but you know what? The other teams are just better than them at the moment. Chiefs at 8. Still have my concerns. Will 100% be on them against Baltimore on Sunday, even with them. Washington moves back in. They're number 9. They actually hopped Tampa because of the injuries you mentioned on the Bucs side. Washington's really good. Green Bay at home might be the number 1 power rated team in the NFL. Green Bay on the road might be like the 12th power rated team in the NFL. It just might be. There might be a huge home field advantage at Lambeau this year.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Tampa's at 10 because of the cluster injuries that you mentioned, even though it looks like Chris Godwin has a chance of playing this week, even with them losing Mike Evans for a month. And, of course, that offensive line is very banged up already. Also, Tampa's needed a last drive score in all 3 games.
Exactly.
So maybe a little bit lucky so far through the first 3 weeks of the season. All right. Before we get your whiteboard, got to get a ticker trivia presented by City Lights Shine. Oh, we also have a poll today, which I'll get to after the trivia question. The 28th edition of the Ryder Cup concluded on this date in 1989 with a 14-14 draw, which was the only year in the tournament that has ended in a draw since 1927 when it started. The only other draw was in 1969. That was a 16-16 draw. Of course, the draw ends up staying with the team that won the previous. So the cup stays with the previous winner in the event of a draw. U.S., by the way, Ryder Cup begins on Friday at Bethpage Black. USA betting favorite. Not a surprise. It is very hard for the road team to win this event through the years. Of course, the tournament was later expanded in 1979 to the format that is played today, which again, it's U.S. versus all of Europe. The 1969 one, of course, was just U.S. versus the United Kingdom. Now it's all of Europe included in the format. That's City Lights Shine Trivia. Of course, City Lights Shine available here at the South Point. You can also get it available along with the slot promotion for the month of September. All right. The poll question, with the Mariners now favored to win the American League at plus 180 here at the South Point, which American League long shot, there's not really a ton of long shots left, but you still get north of 10-1 on some of these teams to win the AL pennant. Would you want a ticket on Red Sox, Guardians, Tigers, and Astros? I know I don't want anything to do with the Astros or the Tigers at the moment, Alex White. And the poll agrees. The Red Sox, 40%, 9-1. The Guardians, 34% at 10-1. I would have voted with the plurality in Boston on that. That would be the team of the four that I would want between the Red Sox, the Guardians, the Astros, and the Tigers for an American League pennant ticket at the moment. All right, Alex.
All right.
It is, the floor will be yours when you are ready here on the whiteboard here on a Wednesday morning.
I put half a unit down here, but I really shouldn't have because they're all half unit plays right now. It's a tough time right now with just a few games left for each of these teams. So I am treading very lightly. So almost half a unit. And then this is just pizza money down here, but taking a shot on two dogs. I like the Marlins against the Phillies. I mean, come into this game, they've won, I think, 7 in a row. Weathers has been very good. So I'm taking that plus 165. And I like the Twins a lot against the Rangers. And I know the Rangers were my team, but they're just playing awful baseball right now. I like the Mets and Cubs over 7. I think we could definitely get some runs between those two. I like the Red Sox with Garrett Crochet on the bump. First 5, minus 130. And I like the Astros and the A's. I'm not going to mess with the bullpen in this one. I'm going under 5. In the first 5, Severino, Hunter Brown on the bump. Neither of these teams are hitting. So let's get some double plays in that one and have a 1-0 by the end of 5.
See how it plays out today. Again, 5 days to go in the Major League Baseball season. I like you're over in Chicago, even with the wind blowing in. The wind did not matter last night in a 16-run barrage. And again, a lot to play for across the board here. Yep. 3 teams very much alive for the NL wildcard final slot. There's still seeding jockeying to go on in the NL, the AL. Obviously, the chaos in Cleveland now with the Guardians. A nice-sized favorite to win the American League Central over the Detroit Tigers. All right, we're back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Dwayne Colucci will join us on the show. We'll get you ready for the week at hand in football with our guy, DC. Shout out to everyone who watched. Shout out to the crew as well. Ryan, Sean, Vince, Drew Dog, Ann, and Jerry. She's Alex. I'm Jeff. We're back tomorrow. Well, 10 a.m. right here. Sports by the Book. Live as always from the South Point Hotel and Casino.